you still remember this classic horror movie opening line? The film we're bringing you today, Scared to Death Ghost, will perfectly explain that line for you. Hurry up and tag your best fool friend to test your friendship. Main feature starting now. Ting is a graduate from the acting department. Thanks to her superb acting skills, she landed a very special job. She plays the female victims in numerous murder cases, helping the police solve cases faster. Due to the unique nature of her work, and to avoid disturbing the souls of the unjustly deceased, every time, after finishing work, she would return to the crime scene. She lights incense and prays for the dead. In a mysterious way, not only does she clear the grievances of the departed, but it also helps them rest in peace and move on. In a way, she's doing a good deed. But doing too many of these good deeds inevitably leads to more connections with ghosts. That day, local news reported a latest murder case. A Thai beauty queen named Min mysteriously disappeared. Soon, the police arrived with leads. According to the landlord, every early morning, women's crying could be heard from the room. The atmosphere was extremely eerie. With the landlord's help, 2 officers entered the room to investigate. The next scene left them all with psychological trauma. As they checked the bathroom, a body wrapped in plastic appeared in the bathtub. But, unexpectedly, the next second, later confirmed by police, the body in the bathtub was the missing Min. Combining the many pieces of evidence left at the scene, Min's husband Anu was named the prime suspect and arrested by the police. At the same time, Ting was closely following the case. As expected, she would be the one playing Min. She nervously checked materials about Min and studied her speech, behavior, and expressions. But at that moment, she received a call from the police station. They said the case was too, so only an internal female officer could play the role. Hearing this news, Ting felt very depressed. She could only put her hands together, praying that Min would give her a chance to perform, and promised to act with all her heart. Little did she know that this unintentional act actually received approval from the female ghost. Soon, the female officer preparing to play Min encountered something eerie in the restroom. She thought it was just an illusion, but unexpectedly, the next second, a dark shadow appeared behind her. Such a horrifying scene made the female officer scream in terror. She got killed off right there in the restroom. Due to this sudden change, the officers had no choice but to contact Ting again. Upon learning the role was back, Ting was pumped full of energy and started preparing as soon as she got home. She began imitating Min's way of speaking, repeatedly practicing her movements and expressions. Gradually, she immersed herself in the performance and didn't notice a hand approaching her. Dressed beautifully and elegantly, it patiently guided Ting until Ting's movements became smooth and skillful. Only then did she notice Min beside her. The next step was to study Min's state while struggling, to find that immersive feeling. So she went alone to the crime scene, lying alone in the bathtub. In an instant, a familiar bloody smell hit her face. Ting entered an illusion. She appeared inside the apartment. Just as she was about to cross a narrow corridor, a creepy figure appeared behind her, keep shouting for help. In front of her, a group of evil spirits surged out, surrounding her completely. Just when Ting felt extremely suffocated, Min appeared beside her and gave Ting a clue, saying Anu is not the killer. As soon as the words fell, Ting suddenly woke up. Afterward, she couldn't stop thinking about what Min said. For a moment, she couldn't tell reality from the dream, so she sought help from the officer in charge of the case, Pak, and told him about her experience. But Pak said it was all nonsense and believed Anu must be the killer. However, at that moment, Min had already appeared outside Pak's car window and wrestled with him for the steering wheel. This terrifying scene, in a way, was also telling Pak that what Ting said was absolutely true. Through this personal experience, Pak also came to believe there was something suspicious about the murder. But on the other side, Anu had already confessed. At that moment, he was reenacting the crime scene. Ting had dressed up carefully, seemingly transforming into Min's appearance. She spoke familiar words to Anu, but what she got in return was Anu's resistance. In the blink of an eye, Min appeared among the crowd and kept reminding Ting, Anu is not the killer. The next second, she even possessed Ting's body, gazing affectionately at the man in front of her with pity. The two embraced each other. The people around seemed to notice this didn't match the script. Min never wanted him to bear the crime. That would only let the real killer go free. At that moment, Officer Pak arrived just in time. He noticed something was very wrong with Ting. The next moment, Min left her body, causing her to faint and collapse on the ground. When she woke up again, she was already in the hospital room, with no memory at all of what had happened before. Pak told Ting that the case was already closed. Without evidence, it would be very hard to continue investigating. Unwilling to give up, Ting later found a shaman. Perhaps there she could find some clues. After some testing, as if guided by spirits, Ting drew a sketch. The shaman gave her a hint. This is exactly what the thing possessing you drew. To solve the mystery, you should find the person in the portrait. Through later investigation, it was learned that the person in the portrait is named Fifi. She is a plastic surgeon and also Min's close best friend. Soon Ting appeared at Fifi's house and immediately asked about her relationship with Min. Seeing how direct she was, Fifi answered without any hesitation. Back then, Min was just an unremarkable little dancer. She was innocent and pure. In Fifi's eyes, she was a shining star. Later, after Fifi's makeover and grooming, Min became a hugely popular Thai beauty queen. But later she forgot the kindness Fifi had shown her. Instead, she turned around and married Anu. The more Fifi spoke, the angrier she became. Ting began to worry about her own situation. She tried to find an excuse to leave. At the same time, from his colleagues, Pak learned that Ting had come to the police station. He started feeling inexplicably worried about Ting. Pak's concern was not unfounded. Fifi had no intention of letting her leave. Ting now knew so many secrets. It wouldn't do if she didn't repay her somehow. Under Fifi's coercion, Ting had no choice but to obey obediently. She was made up with glamorous makeup and adorned with Min's accessories. Next, Fifi even made inappropriate advances toward her. In fact, Fifi has an abnormal sexual orientation. Deep inside, she harbors a twisted and perverted form of love. Min ultimately rejected this love from the same sex. But Fifi saw it as betrayal. In the end, love turned to hate. She brutally murdered Min. To escape legal judgment, she deliberately left Anu's lighter at the scene and successfully framed him for killing his wife. Although Ting has now learned the truth, her situation is extremely dangerous. Soon, Fifi pulled out a dagger and attacked her. Fortunately, Ting dodged in time and avoided the fatal strike. Fifi raised the knife and approached again. Ting realized there was nowhere to escape. At the critical moment, Pak arrived just in time. Fifi did not stop her actions because of this. As a result, she was shot dead by Pak. He immediately went over to check on Ting's condition, but unexpectedly, the next second, actually, this is a movie currently being filmed. Ting is a bona fide actress. The film is adapted from real local events. But ever since filming began, the crew has frequently encountered all kinds of strange occurrences. Recalling the scenes filmed at the beginning, Ting's behavior started becoming unusual back then. She would inexplicably lose her temper with people around her. Sometimes she would start dancing on her own. The screenwriter nearby wanted to interrupt her, but Ting suddenly let out a scream. In the horrified eyes of the others, she collapsed to the ground, foaming at the mouth. It wasn't until the director removed her crown that Ting finally calmed down. To avoid disrupting the film's continued shooting, the director decided to cover up the incident. This led to a series of strange events happening afterward. That day, he had just called cut. He hopefully thought it was a voice coming from someone nearby, but the few people next to him heard nothing. This time, he finally believed that an evil spirit had already infiltrated the crew, but the screenwriter told him to keep shooting. She had a lot of experience with supernatural events. Afterward, she brought offerings to the prop room and began performing a ritual and praying. She hoped the ghosts would allow them to finish filming smoothly. This idea seemed overly naive. Just as the screenwriter was leaving, a pair of hands followed closely behind him. That night, Ting received a call from the crew. They said the screenwriter had died mysteriously at home. Hearing such terrifying news, Ting instantly felt extremely uneasy. On the other side, the editor was reviewing footage. In the footage, he saw a creepy scene. He thought he was seeing things, but the strange figure appeared in other shots as well. He wanted to tell his colleagues about it, but another voice came through the phone. A strange silhouette was reflected behind him. When his colleague rushed to the editing room, they found him dead in a highly eerie state. Ting soon learned the news. They told her to be extra careful. The next one might be Ting. Before she could even feel fear, strange noises came from the empty corridor. Soon, Ting fled back home. She wasn't sure if the evil ghost had followed her, so she mustered the courage to look through the peephole. She barely managed to break free. At this point, she had no way out. Hands suddenly reached out and grabbed her, dragging her off the balcony. She fell dozens of meters from a high place, dying in an extremely tragic state. The next second, Ting jolted awake. Thankfully, it was just a nightmare. Still shaken, she went to the bathroom, wanting to drink some water to calm down. But in the mirror, she saw herself heavily made up. Ting was startled awake by the nightmare once again. It turned out to be a dream within a dream. Yet, strangely, lipstick had mysteriously appeared on her lips. She could no longer tell reality from dreams. To find some peace of mind, Ting went to Min's real grave. She prayed for Min to stop haunting her, to choose forgiveness and forgetfulness, and to reincarnate soon and live a new life. But what Ting never expected was that the one wreaking havoc on the crew wasn't Min at all. Because she continued to experience eerie things afterward, on her way home, she felt surrounded by an invisible force. The next moment, dressed in full costume, she appeared in a ceremonial square. Amid the noisy crowd, she eerily began to dance, until she was blinded by intense camera flashes. She finally snapped out of it. Looking at her surroundings, she knew clearly she had been possessed by a ghost. Ting couldn't figure out why it was haunting her. She called the cinematographer, wanting to carefully go over everything that had happened since filming began. She was shocked when she asked. The cinematographer told Ting that on the day of the film's opening ceremony, as the lead actress, she wasn't present. When they noticed, they immediately searched for her. They found her in the prop room dancing. After calling her a few times, she turned around, but her face had become eerily distorted. It scared the cinematographer badly. A group rushed in but could hardly restrain her. By accident, the crown was removed, and only then did Ting calm down. According to the cinematographer's recollection, the crown was anonymously delivered before shooting started. No one knew the sender or the address. Later, it was placed in the prop room. One day, Ting wandered into the prop room for no reason and just took one look at it. She was immediately drawn to this exquisite crown. She couldn't help but reach out and touch it, but she had no idea that inside this beautiful crown, years of accumulated resentment from the deceased had built up. The problem lies with this crown. Now that Min, who was well known, has been ruled out. Who exactly is this crown connected to? To solve this mystery, Ting decided to go alone into the prop room. She took the crown and planned to send it to a temple to be destroyed. But just as she tried to open the glass case, the thing behind her seemed very unwilling. A reflection quickly appeared on the glass. At the critical moment, Ting picked up a wrench from the floor. After smashing the glass, she grabbed the crown and fled desperately. She drove toward the temple. Soon, the evil spirit caught up. It slowly placed the crown on Ting's head, pulling her into an illusion. Under its guidance, she entered an old, dilapidated wooden cabin. There, she finally uncovered the truth. In the photo was Ting's devoted fan, Mai Tai. She had always harbored dreams of becoming a star. However, with her unattractive appearance, there was no way she could ever make it big. To fulfill her star dream, she took the risk and went to a shady, third-rate clinic for plastic surgery. As expected, during the surgery, she suffered massive bleeding. She died full of resentment. To avoid legal responsibility, the unethical doctor disposed of her body by dumping it into the river. Poor Mai Tai was submerged in the icy cold river forever. Learning the truth, Ting felt deep sympathy. The next day, she reported it to the police. In the end, they recovered Mai Tai's body. Ting had always stood up for many unjustly deceased people. She thought this would allow Mai Tai to rest in peace and leave. But in the end, she was repaid with enmity. Mai Tai had always been jealous of Ting's beauty and wanted to completely take over her body. So it seems doing good deeds doesn't always bring good rewards. Alright, that's the end of today's movie. This is Movie Brief's recap. See you in the next episode.
见不散。